Morally gray isn't for villains, it's for heroes who need to cross a line. That was a good quote that I had seen recently. I think it was in reference to Andor. Um, I'm just paraphrasing it, but I thought that was pretty cool. And Avenger came out in the shadow position orientation, resorting to violence in the name of a cause. But I also got cast the circle, raising vibrations. And what I'm getting from this is that someone has a problem not with you doing the right thing, but how you did the right thing. You can tell from my inflection, nose diving, I'm a little irritated by that, by this vibe. Um, but it reminded me of something um, on the Draconic Priestess, her channel. She's another reader that I like. It's something she says often. People will judge you by the choices you make without seeing the options you had. So, jumping to conclusions, like not getting the full picture before, like, casting judgment, whatever. Um, so I got the witch runes out here. So I want to see, what is this referencing? What is this? Doing the right thing, but having a problem with how you did it. Crossroads. Being at a, like, the impossible choice. Um, it's like a lose-lose situation and not, I don't know, not recognizing the position that somebody was put in, like why they had to go the way that they did. I think the candle agrees with me. So just making assumptions. Let me see what the actual meaning is. Because I know it's crossroads, Hecate. Major life choices, being stuck in the unknown. Being stuck in a rock in a hard place over lava. I don't know. Start getting some cards out and see what is this crossroads about. And that's interesting that the crossroads came out, since it usually makes me think of Hecate, but I got knocked over the head, essentially, with synchronicities from Lilith, getting ready for this reading. I was going to do it yesterday, but some just self-care and rest was on the menu first. I got onto Instagram, like, after getting out of the shower and whatnot, and it was just post after post after post, like Lilith, 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 Lilith. It's like, okay, I see, I recognize the synchronicity. So independence, rebellion, refusing to kneel, and like now, I've impacted my algorithm by interacting with those posts that came up. One was like, Lilith doesn't require an altar. She lives in the women who refuse to kneel, which I thought was a really good quote. So lots of quotes today, I guess. The Emperor. Independent, yeah. Ruler of the kingdom. Got their stuff in order. So the arrival to independence, like how, call this like the Shadow Avenger. It's a cool name. How they gained independence. And it's another interesting, because Lilith is not only one of the spheres in the, I think it's Cleopath, the tree of death to the Kabbalistic tree of life. Um, it's mud and earth. Sphere 10, I think. And then she rules over another sphere. But the parallel sphere from the tree of death to the tree of life is kingdom. We have the emperor. Just feels more like following, I think, something I said in the last reading. Anything but letting the black sheep win. Something like that. Because Lilith exiled herself from paradise, chose to be demonized as opposed to what she was being put through, which I think a lot of people trivialize as like bedroom preference disputes. The version of the myth I subscribe to is that she was being subject to marital SA. Because why else would you exile yourself from paradise if something, unless something really serious was going on? Like, framing it as it was a preference dispute makes it like a petty thing. Not that it's not important, but... Queen of Pentacles. More independent. Lots of black cats in this one. And I think that's usually the Queen of Wands. So, not fitting the mold of what you're expected to embody. Like, if the Queen of Wands has a black cat, like, what is the problem with the Queen of Pentacles also having a black cat? I don't see an issue with it. More kitties for everybody. Why not? But that, it's like the perception of whomever is represented by Shadow Avenger. The issue is like the way they come across. Like, that's the only problem. It's not actually what they're doing. Like nitpicky energy. And kind of opposites here too, because the Emperor has a German Shepherd, but also a black cat in his lap. Kind of hard to see, actually. But unifying opposites, the fulcrum, that keeps coming up. Chaos and order. Maybe this is the chaos. Go on with those. People don't like the chaos, even if it's needed. Four of Wands and Judgment in reverse. Judging what makes somebody happy right as the clock chimes. This is like building a narrative about somebody because they don't fall into social norms. Like, maybe they don't want kids. Maybe they don't even want marriage, you know? Maybe there's somebody like me that is on the fence of, can I even cohabitate with someone again? I don't know. I don't know if I want that. I like having my own space. Like, can't we live near each other? Sounds fine to me. But it's people like over here in these ivory towers looking down on somebody. And look at all the different colored cats too. Like, I'm kind of getting some real prejudice here about something. I don't know if it's about race, but could be about pride. It is pride right now. But it's all about image. Like, that's the only problem. It's not about what's actually being done, it's about the perception. It'd be like, I don't know, like the church having to admit a witch did something good. Like, it'd be painful, even though the act itself was good. Something like that. Some sort of, can we not bridge our differences? Like, we don't have to be besties, but we also don't have to live in hate either. And denying people the recognition they deserve based on who they are, that's hateful. Like, it goes past being judgmental. So what's the problem with, it's such a cool name, Shadow Avenger. I just like saying it. But what's the issue with the perception? And I think the witchy decks were the right call in the witch runes. So persecution wound, witch wound stuff for shadow work. Self-care, bathing in the river, and ascension, secret trail. And I said the subtext first. Huh, I don't usually read it like that. So bathing in the river and secret trail, but really getting to the heart of the matter, the issue is with their self-care and their ascension. It's like somebody that's got an issue with you or whomever this represents getting better. Why? Like, why? Is it making them confront something that they haven't confronted yet? I'm drawn to the dice roll now. I got South Node, Pisces, and the 9th house. And the North Node is actually in Pisces right now, so kind of a flip, a mirror. And 9th house, Sagittarius, beliefs, travel, stuff like that. Things that broaden your horizons. So what's the subject of this? I don't understand. The star? More healing. What? Like, they're mad that you look good? I don't... Somebody's hating. Why? Why you gotta be like that? Go do something. If it is fueling jealousy, that might be a signal that they have something that you want. It's not an indicator to take it from them or something like that. It's like, how can I get that for myself? Like, when you see somebody's style that you like, I don't want to copy it. I want to take pieces from it, you know, inspiration, make it my own. I hear you meowing. You had breakfast. So why is this a problem? It seems so petty. Like, why would somebody have an issue with somebody getting better? What, did they lose a bet because you got better? Gross. I hope they did. I hope they did lose. I hope you won. Somebody betting on people and their outcomes. People do that. It's like deliberately saying, oh, they'll never be able to amount to anything, and then they do. So now they're trying to like save face or something by like tearing this person down? I don't know. The judgment, like trying to point out every little flaw, like, well, when they were a teenager, blah blah blah, like 20 years later, like, okay, do you not have a past? Because we can talk about yours too. Like, class is all here. Like, let's make good choices. Come on now. Six of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, they don't want it as good as they gave it. Is this like somebody talking behind your back? They won't even say it to your face. Then why are you saying it? Just saying. That it's like, here's your sign. If they're not saying it to your face, but they're saying it to other people, like, that's pretty spineless. That's kind of how those smear campaigns go. And especially if this is anybody with any kind of influence, like an emperor, queen of pentacles or something like that. That has influence over your life in some way. Queen of Pentacles could be, either of them actually could be like an employer or something. Trashing your name behind your back to like people you work with, or even mutuals, something like that. And now you're healing, and the people that were hopping on the bandwagon, maybe getting down on you too at first, are now questioning things, which doesn't in no way, shape, or form excuses what they did in the first place. Because the impression I'm getting is that they were fine jumping on that bandwagon like while you were down, which is gross. They don't get any kind of excuses for like, oh, now that the results are in. No. Some sort of unequal give and take. And that could be a flag for you that you don't want to get caught in the cycle of giving it as good as you got it necessarily. Might need to, not that I'm advocating for anything, of course, but if you ever got bullied in school or something, you know some of them don't back off until you take a swing at them. That might be like some sort of equivalent. With the shadow attribute. Like that was the line that had to be crossed. Like you did have to give somebody a taste of their own medicine, but again, what we were saying at the beginning, nobody who's judging you saw the choices that you had. Maybe your back was up against a wall. And if somebody's bullying in the workplace, like that's your livelihood. That's your ability to keep a roof over your head. That's really take no prisoners, you know. Because if somebody is threatening your livelihood, are you just supposed to sit there and take it? Or are you going to do something about that? Like file the appropriate reports, and if you need an employment attorney, whatever. And what if you're in a position where you can't really afford that? Then it's so much more stress, which has priceless long-term costs to your health. So that's another aspect of like standing up for yourself, is standing up for your health in these situations. Like you don't get to just put me through something like this without consequence. Page of Cups. Some people might be learning some really hard lessons, some really emotional lessons. Because Page of Cups, like student of emotions. And painting, art therapy, things like that, something that's often done to manage emotions. But maybe folks aren't accustomed to being stood up to, actually receiving what they gave. They're used to dishing it out, but they can't take it. And that's going to be a hard lesson. And it's going to paint you as the villain, you standing up to that, even though it's the right thing to do. And then anything that can be done to save any type of ground, potentially liability, save face in any kind of way, it's going to be tried. And could make the situation worse, like dragging it out, putting people through more. When really it's exposing the true colors. Like Maya Angelou, when people show you their true colors, believe them. Like, wait a minute, why are you picking this person apart? Like, start asking those questions. Like, why are you doing this? What did they do to you? Oh, nothing. They did nothing. So now we have to start asking additional questions about, okay, what is the cause of this if they didn't do anything? Back to that potential bigotry. So what? I was going to say what lessons. Oh, and King of Cups in reverse. Losing control of emotions. Oh, and he's got I was going to say stethoscope. That's not right. Telescope? Interesting. Watching something? Watching a lot of different things, because there's a mermaid, there's some dolphins, there's a cat. Watching something they're not supposed to be watching. I'm kind of getting like red pill content is what's coming to mind. Because like for everything I talk about here with manipulation tactics and whatnot, and how to protect oneself from those, there are one or more red pill podcasters describing how to manipulate and how to get women who don't want to date you, like things like that. So it's like learning how much control one does not have. Is that the Judgment here, though? Is it something about like an alternative lifestyle? Or just like someone is judging because you don't want like the white picket fence or whatever, that you've gone down a different path? And so what? Like, how does that affect you? Just don't understand. It's like the arguments that have been made for a long time against gay marriage. Like, if you don't like gay marriage, don't get gay married. What is the problem? Just saying. If it's not for you, don't participate, but you don't get to control what other people do. And no, there's no justification for it. There is not. It's like the immediately the arguments like, but, what ifs, and no. They're adults. Like, presumably, is what I'm talking about here. Leave them be. Especially if you don't like the way that they're living. Stay in your lane. Maybe we have a cross-watcher here. Crossroads. So what? So there's emotional lessons because you healed. What are... Actually, what are some of these judgments? I'm curious about that. A little deeper into the perception part. There we go. The initiation, a sacred test, but it's in reverse. I'm curious what the book says about this one. 13. A sacred test, a worthy gamble, being prepared to risk it all. Tarot companion, 9 of Wands. So boundaries. This is a long description. I'm just skimming it real quick. But this is the leap of faith. Like, could even compare this to the Fool card as well, based on what they're saying in here. But companion cards, it says secret trail. So we got that one. Enter at your own risk, prying eyes, and cast the circle. So we've got 2 of the companion cards to it. So a judgment being made about perceived impulsivity. South Node Pisces. I think so. They didn't understand the choices you had, but they judged you anyway. About is this masculine? Aries? I don't remember. No, that's the feminine one. That's right. Are they judging you based on your gender? I mean, any form of discrimination is not okay. But maybe that's the bigotry here. It's like, oh, a woman couldn't possibly, like, be an astronaut. Too emotional to be president. Like, whatever. As if we can't see or hear the current administration. For real. Goodness gracious. I saw that interview with Trump that the female reporter was like pressing on, but this is what you said, and walked out of that. Like, it's not very leaderly, not being able to be challenged. So a leap of faith. It's like a woman daring to bet on herself, which, at least in my experience, sometimes we're the only ones who are. There's a lot of internalized misogyny that goes around. A lot of people in positions, too, that they don't feel safe to stand up. There's a lot of reasons for what people do. And that doesn't negate if somebody was completely left out on their own to navigate something difficult. Like the whole bandwagon thing. Like, you got one side of the story, you jumped on a bandwagon, now the actual, like, results are in. Now you're on my side? Yeah, I don't care. So what about this leap of faith? No? Let's take it the bottom one. There's the Queen of Wands. Oh, and she's got a dragon in this one. She's got her flowers. Very victorious. I like the red. Bold and big. And a little hummingbird. Very powerful image. But reversed. Pretty sure they came out reversed. That's a eat, drink, and be merry queen. Also associated to witchcraft. I've heard that before. Because usually she's the only one with a cat. This is the everyday witch deck, so there are a lot of cats in this one. But could be another form of judgment. Somebody judging you for your practice, for spirituality, for your faith, for whatever. Another form of discrimination. Man, are people judging on, like, every single level? Because I don't know, doing the right thing and doing it in a way like they didn't like, so what? What is, and what were the choices? Again, like, and are they in a position where, like, okay, you could have done this, but you didn't, so I did it. Keep your criticisms to yourself. You had opportunities to step in, and you didn't. So, like, how can you sit there and give me a hard time when you sat by for whatever reason, even if you have a reason, excuse, a rationalization, whatever. You aren't who put your neck on the line. Not the person who took that leap of faith. And maybe it's that kind of, that's more the Lilith energy, the independent, I went my own way. Like, if you have a problem with it, you could have done something about it, like, yourself. But I took the reins. Eight of Pentacles, but it's in reverse. I'm kind of getting actually more prejudice. Like, they're too young or something. It's not that anything they've said was wrong, incorrect, but the problem is that they're too young. They're too inexperienced. But they were right. They did the work. Like, what's the problem? It's like, lay off this person. Like, clearly you're showing a lot about yourself, that you're attacking every fundamental thing about this person that they can't change. Their gender, their faith, their age. Like, these are all immutable characteristics. And yes, like, earnest beliefs, they evolve over time, yeah, but that's their business. That's where they are on their journey. It's nobody else's business. Just people not staying in their lane. And I get that there's going to be some hard lessons about that, because that's not okay. And we all know that's not okay. If you've had a job ever, You took a training about it. At least in the past, like, what, 20 years? Something like that. The whole, like, I'm still learning is not an excuse anymore because, like, demonstrate that you're learning. I don't think you are. I think you're just making excuses. Be like somebody judging Lilith for being a demon, not knowing the choices she had were either continue to be subjected to SA or exile herself and become a demon. Like, those were her choices. I would pick the latter. I'd pick the demon route. I'd choose my freedom every single time. And maybe they have a problem with that. Like, somebody around here is just like, well, why didn't you just submit? Because it's torment? It's torture? And I deserve to be free because I'm a person with agency? Like, what? How is this even a question? Of course I'm not going to put up with that. So what else about this Eight of Pentacles? Because I don't think, and I am not an attorney, I don't think ageism protections kick in until like 40, something like that, which I've never understood because your age when you're below 40 is equally immutable. I don't get it. It just means that young people aren't protected. And you're getting labor off of us. We deserve to be protected in all ways. Temperance in reverse. Maybe losing patience. Oh, this is like, God forbid you had a reaction to getting judged for somebody making an assumption or something about you based on an immutable characteristic. And then treating you differently based on that. Like, shocker that you reacted to that. It's abusive in all contexts. Worse so if it involves anything with a power dynamic. But even just somebody in your friends group, like a peer or something. Like, some of those things can come up when challenging someone on something, and then you'll see the lid, like, pop. Like the mask come off. But that never happens with, like, man to man. It only happened, like, man to woman. Like, how dare you challenge me? Something like that. Like, something really obvious. But not necessarily something said. It's like some of the difficulties navigating situations like these, like, are we waiting for abusive people to just be like, oh yeah, I abuse them? No. It's a trope how predictable it is that saving face and discrediting the victim is like step one. And there's a whole lot of different ways to try and do that. So step one lasts a really long time. It's like, God forbid Lilith chose something other than being SA'd for eternity. I'd choose something different too. But then they're judging it like, well, did you have to become a demon? Did I have a different choice? No. If that's the one I'm given, demon it is. So what? what was chosen as the leap, because we know like the healing was the problem. But what's the issue with the leap? Oh, that came right out. The spell is cast. Let go. Again, maybe it is a problem with witchiness. Using some sort of religious basis for that judgment. Which, I mean, I'm in the States, in a country with the First Amendment, like, stay in your lane. It doesn't matter. If they're not proselytizing you, if they're not trying to introduce it into legislature, stay in your lane. Over there. Off the cottage lawn. Or the swamp lawn. The bog. So the spell is cast. Oh, and this is also giving me people who take issue with making money off of like a spiritual practice or something like that. Like, my position on that is we live in a capitalist economy which requires capital to function. Are we caught up? Like, what more information do you need? When is the last time an employer paid the cost of living? Or raises kept up with inflation? Like, get over yourself. Get off your high horse, you righteous B-word. Self-righteous, smelling your own farts. Like that South Park episode. And this is actually a good incense for Lilith. It's Night Queen. It's a flower that blooms at night. Fitting. And it's kind of like say somebody doesn't like my tarot readings or whatever, like, okay, don't watch them. Nobody's making you. You know. And you certainly don't have to go out of your way to do things that would harm somebody, like, trying to make ends meet. You know, like what I was talking about earlier, if they're trashing you to mutuals or something, that could potentially be hurting your business if you have a side business or something. And that, like, you have no business interfering with somebody's life if you don't like them. Not like them all you want on your own time. If they're not grifting, who cares? And learning how to discern what is and is not a charlatan, that's a skill. And it's not okay to just, like, blanket statement, all money gained off of spiritual practices is bad. No, like, take a look at the world around you, at what people are trying to get through. And there are no temples for oracles anymore. It's where we used to live. Now we have to pay rent. Like, that requires money. We have to get that. The rings. Alchemy. Bringing things together. The old world and the new. And maybe you're at a stage where you're taking a leap into, like, a second career. Something like that. Like, I used to do undergraduate admissions counseling, and I had a lot of second career students that were going back to school in middle age to do something else. Sometimes that's the way life goes. Like, we don't get the same security from employers that we used to. It's like everybody out there for themselves. And but they're expecting loyalty, which in that case is not loyalty, it's fealty, because it's only going one direction. And the way we get left behind, and then things are expected of us, of course we might need a side hustle the way things are going. And if you're already doing something that might potentially help people, you know, it's not a replacement for things like therapy and whatnot, but having a spiritual practice, that's a leg of the support stool. It's just paying you for your time, for a skill set that you've developed over however many years. But what about the spell is cast? They're all face down. I'm not taking any. So really judgy energy. Knight of Pentacles, because something is taking a long time. I know that feel. I think I'm coming up on 2 years. I've been trying to get the channel really to start the gears turning, whatnot. And it's like, well, how long is it supposed to take? You know? And I'm just trying to help make some ends meet. I would eventually like to go my own way. There's obvious, like, economic concerns with that, with the way things are going. But if somebody is just putting one foot in front of the other, trying to do things the honest way, yeah, it's going to take a while, because we're not living in an economy that rewards honest work. Honest work makes you drown. And then you just get the same advice over and over of keep trying to do things the honest way. And I'm like, okay, but then I keep drowning. It's not working. I'm doing what you're asking and I'm not getting what I need. So somebody's got an issue through taking a creative approach to try and gain more materials. Because, like, this is me monetizing something I was doing anyway, like, for my own practice. And I don't know. I'm of the thinking that, like, I'll teach somebody about witchcraft. I won't do that for you, though. Divination, that's a different skill set. That I will do for somebody else. And it's a great way to learn tarot, just watching free tarot readings online. And it's not like I don't benefit from somebody just watching my videos and not patroning my Etsy store. That's still an exchange between us, because I'm giving knowledge, I'm giving information, and they're helping me march towards monetization. 2 of Wands. Looking out, pondering the orb, the globe, but it came in reverse. That is giving more Hecate energy, though. The 2 torches. Liminal space. Crossroads. Is that the impulsive judgment? They think this wasn't planned. Meanwhile, like, if you go to the description of like a YouTube channel, you can see how long they've been working on it. Like, it's right there. And that's like this kind of laziness that they didn't even bother verifying information that had they taken just an ounce of effort to go look for, they would have found it really easily. But it's like they're expecting to be spoon-fed all the reasons to, like, why we shouldn't judge you. Like, why would I spoon-feed you anything? If that's the way that you're interacting with me, if that's the way that you're perceiving me, get your own goddamn spoon. Pardon me. But people irritate me sometimes. They can be so judgy, and it's like, did you even lift a finger? Or were you just fed information from somebody else that validated some prejudice that you already had? Like, you got the information you wanted to believe, so you didn't even bother. And meanwhile, it's like you damaged somebody's life in the interim. Like, good job. This is why one of my favorite things to do is just stay in my own lane. But so clearly this is not impulsive. And that could be a commentary to the other side of the table too, that the judgment of you is not impulsive. Like they're trying to save face for the way that they were acting by like, well, let me pick them apart at the seams and dig back through their entire life and find out that they were mean to somebody when they were a teenager once. Like, cool, you didn't have to learn things about the world? Sometimes that happens, and sometimes we're raised by bullies and we have to figure it out ourselves, that that's not a cool way to act. And that's not a perfect process going forward. So what about this Two of Wands? But maybe this is the Tower? It is. Again, the Tower was in the last reading as well, but it was upright. You cannot delay the Tower. The Tower is happening, whether you like it or not. When towers come down, they come down. Either you're in the way or you aren't. They don't stop for you. But the expression on her face is interesting. That's kind of the, oh, what is that meme? The little girl in front of the fire truck, she looks very mischievous like this. It's kind of like, well, you tried me. We all make choices. I don't know what you were expecting. Were you expecting me to just take this? Like to just accept judgment for me being a witch, a woman, for being in the LGBT community? Like, no, of course I'm not just going to accept that. That's insane. The ego in that. It's like somebody that feels justified for doing terrible things to you because of one of those characteristics or something similar. It's like people that really do, like in Lilith's myth, they would side with Adam. That he is fully justified in harming his wife, in essaying his wife. There are people that earnestly believe that is an okay thing to do. And the only thing stopping those people are laws. Like when those laws get implemented and restrictions and consequences and whatevers, they don't stop being misogynists. They don't stop being discriminatory. There's just consequences now if they do those things. It's not fundamentally changing people. And that might be that morally gray area that maybe a judgment call was made from the Shadow Avenger. I've said that many times. Maybe that'll be the next installment of whatever Marvel's doing right now. Um, what is the next one? Doomsday, I think, maybe. So maybe that's a big change, a big tower coming down to the pike. But the morally gray area, something had to be done to hold up a mirror or to protect oneself. That it's just like, well, you put my back up against the wall. You got the teeth. What did you expect? You expected me to be temperate through that? No. I'm going to defend myself. Of course. Then people will judge you for like, well, weren't you a little too mean standing up to somebody who was being abusive towards you? Like, from where I'm sitting, I was pretty nice. You know, that we didn't come to a physical confrontation or something, because I've been like egregiously harmed. And I do prefer working things out with words, but can we not recognize the kind of pain that's caused by somebody being judged, tormented, bullied just for existing? Like, come on. We push people over and over and over again, keep poking them with a stick, and then blame them for bleeding. That's gaslighting. What is this song again? This just came out recently. Sugar. Maybe you need some sugar? Or maybe don't be hard on yourself if you have some, if you decide you want some. And it's been pretty hot. It's a good time for some fruit. I've been having a lot of watermelon with tahini. It's really good. Especially when it's quite warm. But treat yourself a little bit going through something that's difficult, and maybe some aggressive music to process those feelings. Maybe even a rage room, something like that. I think they let you pick your own musics and stuff. I like axe throwing myself. But there's a lot of options for getting out that anger, because you might be pent up. It's really not fair to have to sit there like demure and mindful while people have been taking swings at you and you can't take a swing back, you know? You're actually trying to resolve the problem, not just escalate. And then that results in you having to take quite a bit on the chin. So finding a healthy way to get that out, because if you don't get that out, that tends to go inward and kind of spiral, can result in like a lot of tension, anxiety, rumination for me is a big one. So heavy metal, some sort of strenuous activity, something like that. And don't kick yourself when you need to treat yourself. So overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates. And if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.